Customer states when he goes to kick over this DRZ, he gets no kick. You can tell it's freewheeling. More than likely the sprag gear is not engaging on the clutch here, so I've got the new parts for it. Also, I'm the customer of this one. This is my bike. I'm Josh Stover. This is StoversMotors. Let's get to work on this thing. So quick backstory on this bike. I purchased this bike because I've got a couple of small four-wheelers, go-karts, a couple of small dirt bikes I like riding around with my son. So I found this bike. I got a good deal on it, went and picked it up, kick-started it. Thing runs great, fires right up. It's got some goodies on it. Got a full FMF exhaust system on it. We've got a big bore kit, aftermarket carburetor, aftermarket seats, aftermarket graphics, brand new tires, lots of goodies on this bike. So it's actually a pretty good deal. But after having it for a little bit, I noticed that the Kickstarter started slipping, which wasn't a big deal to me. I actually had a buddy that was very interested in this bike for his daughter, and we were going to swap out all of this with a full manual clutch system on it. He ended up going a different route because she wanted the green, not the yellow bike. For those who don't know, this is actually a Kawasaki Klx 110 rebranded as a Suzuki DRZ 110. Same bike, says Kawasaki, it's just yellow instead of green. Anyway, super fun bikes. It's semi-automatic, 3-speed. But right now with the Kickstarter not engaging, I can't start the bike up anymore, even though I didn't have that issue when I first bought it. Long story short, we're going to get this thing fixed. So I've ordered the parts. I wanted to bring you guys on this journey of pulling the clutch out, getting everything replaced, putting it back together, see if we can't get this thing fixed. So without further ado, let's get to it. First of all, got to be very careful of parts that fall out, because we've got multiple of them here. So we need to make sure we get those back in the correct spots. Let's go ahead and confirm our problem here before I go any further. So kicking it over right now, it is in fact grabbing and now it's slipping. So if I rotate this to a different spot, it does grab, and then I'll find a bad spot on that sprag gear. So that's exactly what this is. Right now it's catching. It's not. Yeah, just intermittent. So that is our problem. And in order to replace that gear, we have to pull the centrifugal clutch off as well as the disc clutch off in order to gain access to it. So I guess we're doing that next. There is the centrifugal clutch. Shoes look good on this. Okay, so here is the one-way bearing. As well as the surface that it rides on, which I got both just in case. I wonder if I can grab this and pull it out. This way I don't remember. So here are two new pieces that I was talking about. You can see this piece right here is the inside right there, and then our sprag gear is right there. When I put these together, you can see, well, before I put them together, you can kind of tell that there's all these little, I guess you want to call them pawls in here. And what they do is it allows it to free spin one bit. When I spin it the other way, it will grab. That is, once it's inside of that housing. So we're going to replace both of these because this surface on the inside of these little pawls, or whatever you want to call them, those get torn up, and then this outside surface that those ride on can also get torn up. So that's why we're going to replace both of them while we have it apart. Okay. Got this first part out. Let's take a look at the surface of it. Surface isn't too bad. There's a couple of marks on here, but nothing that I can feel. But we've got the new part, so it's getting replaced anyway. Looks like we lucked out. I guess we don't have to pull this whole clutch out, which is fantastic. And I can tell on the top of these that all the top of these pawls are worn. They got flat spots all over them, where this one does not. So that's going to be our main issue here. And I'm glad I was able to get that out without having to pull this whole clutch pack apart. Learn something new every day. One big thing we're going to make sure we do is really clean this guy out and inspect the surface of this housing. All this clutch material and stuff, I want to get that out. Okay. All that does feel pretty smooth. A little bit of grooving in the centrifugal clutch bell housing here. But that's pretty normal. Especially something this old. I think this is a 2003, if I remember correctly. Cool, well that's good news. Let's go ahead and put this back together, see if we can't get it all back in. If you'll pay attention on that sprag gear, it's got an arrow showing the direction of rotation. And that has to point to the outside so you can tell which direction it goes. So that's fairly simple to figure out there. Slide that in. And then this guy, this one came out just like this. I looked at that as I was talking about it. So that goes back in like that. And just to verify. Ooh. I'm going to have to look this one up because I'm going to say just to verify, this should just be a smooth surface because this flat side was against it. But it looks like, and I know somebody else has been in here before me, but it looks like this ridge is also marked on there. So let me look that up. I'll be right back. Alright, diagram online shows a smooth side going in. Now that diagram's not super detailed, so I'm not sure if that's 100% accurate. But looking at the way this one sits in there, there's an inner lip and an outer lip. And if I put the flat side in, the flat side touches both the inner and the outer lip and it's fully supported. If I flip it around, then only this inner lip touches. And then as far as the clutch markings go here, you can definitely tell that this used to sit with the ridge pointed out. And I don't think it's a coincidence that that ridge also lines up with the exact dimensions of this nut. So I'm going to run it flat side in. I think that makes the most sense. That also allows this surface to fit in a little bit deeper into here. Make sure we got full contact with these pawls. And immediately I can tell you right now that has solved our slipping problem because I can now turn the crankshaft and there is zero slippage going on. So that was a correct diagnosis on that. Go ahead and put the clutch back in. And we're going to get this back together. Not too bad of a repair. Don't want to say that prematurely though because if I do remember correctly, getting this case back on with these parts can be difficult sometimes. Well, first things first on this one. When you drop all your parts, search through your oil pan, make sure you got them all. In this case, you're going to have the actual side cover itself. You'll have this is just coming off the shifter linkage. You got this is a detent. There's a bearing, and there's another piece that's down on the inside that also acts as that detent, or it actually depresses the clutch when you shift gears, making it semi-automatic. So, let's start with this guy. This shaft has already got a mark on it, which aligns this piece to the shaft. That's right where it goes. Piece sits in there. That lines up with that guy just like that. Then this little bearing piece here. We'll leave that on there and see if we can't get it together without it falling. I think I have to set it on here. I said I've struggled with this part before. Okay, I'm gonna set it just like that. Actually, I'm going to force the bike to lean back just a little bit. Make my life a little easier. Okay, that'll stay, that'll work. That should be everything. Now this gasket did not tear when I removed it, so I'm going to go and try to reuse it instead of scraping it all off. If it leaks, well, I wish I'll just replace it. But I do have a gasket here if needed be. tightly sink these case screws back in. I always like to double check, make sure all these screws are in fact the same size. A lot of motorcycles have different size screws for different size placements. If you stick too long of a screw in the wrong hole, it can cause some major engine damage. These all appear to be the same size. All of those are tight. Again, always being careful. These two bolts are longer. They're going to go through the skid plate side. you have it. This thing is running fantastic. Obviously replacing that sprag gear and the collar that it rides on, that fixed our kickstart problem because the thing's kickstarting with no issues whatsoever. Did a little bit of dialing in on the carburetor, had to raise the needle a little bit. It was running a little lean, so I was giving it throttle initially, kind of falling on its face. Went ahead and raised that needle height up so it's running a little bit fatter now through the mid-range, on up into the top end there before it hits the main jet. Thing's running great. It's easy to start. Pretty good bike. Going to do a little bit of cleaning up on it here. This thing's actually going to be for sale. So if you're local to me here in Boone, Iowa, then you guys can have a chance to grab this thing right before Christmas. Perfect timing on that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for following along with the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe learned something. Quick little fix on this thing. We got this thing back up and riding, ready to rip. Thank you so much, guys. See you later.